I think that we can all agree that even though Islam deserved to win that fight, Volkanovski deserves to remain as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. Volk went up to lightweight and actually held up better in the grappling than Charles Oliveira did, and whenever he didn't have his back taken on the ground, was actually able to base up and work his way back up to the feet somehow. In certain moments, Volkanovski was even able to turn Islam into the fence and keep him up against the cage for extended periods of walnut stall, at times dropping down and attempting his own takedowns. Islam largely avoided traditional wrestling takedowns like the double or single leg, but when he did attempt them, usually after being rocked or off of a scramble, he did well, which was infuriating to see because in his mind, he must have been wary of shooting into a near guillotine, or was just aware that Volk's low center of gravity and absolute tree trunk legs would make it hard for him to complete the shot. Islam had some success using the clinch to get takedowns, and when he was able to get Volk down and keep him there, he would quickly take the back and put in a body triangle, immobilizing the featherweight champ. However, when he would attempt submissions, Volkanovski would immediately try to put both shoulder blades to the mat and attempt to escape, so Islam settled on just maintaining positions. In the same way that Volk hung in there with Islam in the grappling, Islam hung in there with Volk on the feet. Volkanovski did well to utilize leg kicks, usually at the end of a combination, but for whatever reason he didn't use them more than he probably should have. Volkanovski shut down the lead hand of Islam, which is something that we haven't seen anyone be able to do with him before, and he did it by just simply winning the outside foot battle while he was in the orthodox stance. Doing so allowed him to line up his own power punches, as well as shutting down Islam's check hook. Him taking himself off the center line to the outside of Islam's lead hand while crowding him takes him out of reach of the hook that is arguably Islam's best countering weapon and favored grappling entry, which is the clinch. Volkanovski's crashing forward of the center line made it harder for Islam to grab the tie clinch, which is where Islam was trying to utilize the sambo and judo to get the smaller fighter to the ground. That being said, Islam was able to land some really good shots on Volk at distance, and in the few moments where he decided to trade instead of retreating when Volk advanced, he came away landing some pretty significant strikes himself, even dropping Volk to a knee. Shout out Colby Covington. I thought that he was probably trying to set up a head kick early in the fight, as he came out blasting kicks to the body, when he usually strictly kicks to the head, so I believe he was trying to condition Volk to the way that Leon conditioned Usman. Islam did a good job of landing knees, mostly in the brief clinch exchanges that occurred in the fight. Volkanovski did almost everything correctly on the feet. He tried mixing it up to the body more, but it seemed as though Islam's camp prepared for the body shots well. The moment Volk landed to the body, Islam fired back on the counter, catching Volk off balance and stumbling him. When Volk got reckless, Islam was surprisingly able to counter, slipping to the outside and landing his straight and landing intercepting elbows. Volk found a lot of success in the shifting combinations though, which is a double-edged sword against a wrestler like Islam. The benefit is being able to land huge punches on Islam, who didn't seem prepared to deal with this style of offense. But the bad part of this is that it allows wrestlers to shoot in doubles when your hips are squared while you switch stances. Volkanovski also had the biggest moment of the night when he dropped Islam while he was shooting and finished the fight on top, landing some nasty ground and pound. That being said, I thought that there were 3 rounds that were definitely one way or the other. Rounds 1 and 4 were definitely Islam's, and round 5 was absolutely Volkanovski's. But I had round 2 going for Islam and round 3 going for Volk. Close fights are not robberies, and Islam Makhachev rightfully won that fight, but Volkanovski should remain the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world.